afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time you're catching this, feeling this, understanding this. Welcome to the Urban Wall Street Project. I'm your host, Earl Christian III, and today's topic is one of a very sensitive nature. We recently experienced one of the worst disasters in the history of America, and some may say in the history of certain regions. And I'm speaking of Hurricane Katrina. There's been a lot of backlash, and a lot of outpouring, a lot of crying, a lot of controversy, a lot of grief, and a lot of theories about what happened and why what happened. The bottom line is, urban America, we are in a serious, serious state of affairs, and we have to realize right now that if we don't take care of business and really start to become a more cooperative individuals, cooperative communities, and a cooperative people, we are going to lose. The battle will be lost. The war will be over. It's a serious situation. So before I get into it, I just want to think about it. And hopefully you had a chance to read the aforementioned, the foreword, I should say, to this show regarding what we could have done had the Million Man March been more than a movement. I want to talk about the biggest topic of the day with regard to Katrina, the government. Where was the government? How did our government fail us? How did we let this happen? How could this happen in America? Well, we really have to truly understand and break down the literal definition of the word government. See, language in America is very important, and the illiteracy will condemn us. If we do not truly understand what words mean, we cannot truly understand how to rectify and make situations better, because the definition of the word defines the word, and the defining of the word defines the action that's going to come from it. So let's understand the word government. What is government? Is this the entity that we hoped would be there for us? Is this the entity that we assume would be there for us? Is this the entity that we feel is supposed to be there for us? Well, let's understand what government is. Government, by definition, is the political direction and control exercised over communities, societies, and states. I'm going to say that again. The political direction and control exercised over communities, societies, and states. Keyword, control. Second definition, the form or system of rule by which state, community, etc. is governed. So right off the back, we understand, by definition, nowhere does it say in government to take care of the people. The word is to direct and control. And anytime an entity or a group of beings is directing and controlling an entire other group of beings, it generally is not going to fare well on the part of those being controlled. I hope you sitting at home agree. So when we say, where's the government? Where is the government? We're saying, where's the political structure that's providing the direction? Where is the political structure that's controlling this situation? It's very important that you understand that word control, because you're going to hear it. And we all know what the word control means, so I don't think I need to give the definition. To control someone is to put you in domination, to dominate. If you're not the one dominating, you're the one being dominated, and that's not a good situation. And we're going to see that. We realize that 1 year later, post-Hurricane Katrina. So we understand the literal definition of the word. We have to recognize exactly what we're dealing with. Once you understand that, you have to understand it. We have conceded our social and community well-being to an entity that is designed purely for political direction and control. Political direction literally has to mean the political direction of a state, community, and how it will be controlled. I may be reiterating that particular point because it's very important to understand. Government. What is the government? For most of us, we think the government is here to take care of us, provide opportunities, provide the resources that we need. But controlling something and providing might not always go. Understand how government does things. The biggest resource needed post-Hurricane Katrina was finances, economics, revenue. The socioeconomic status of a people completely destroyed and overlooked. Overlooked because why? New Orleans is a black city. Residents don't have much money, and there's no real political power. Let's just be honest. Because if they were political power, that probably would have never, ever happened then. So when we understand that, we have to understand the control of the government. Now, the government allocates money. Money is allocated by the government. We all understand that. The reason I'm breaking this down this way because you have to understand how what happened, and then start to rectify the situation. Can we be mad about it? We can be mad. But being mad won't prevent a possibility of something like this happening ever again. Maybe not on the same magnitude, but there's some people who feel like they're drowning every single day. It's time to make a change. Urban Wall Street is going to make a change that. But I digress. How do we control things? How do we change the things that we're dealing with? It's all about revenue. Revenue seems to be that one thing that we're lacking in the communities. Well, unfortunately, New Orleans was comprised largely of what they may call in society minorities. Me personally, I don't subscribe to the word minority because the root of the word minority is minor. Minor means less than, not as important. By definition, minority in America means a group with little or no representation, importance, or power in society. Lesser as in size, extent, amount, or importance. So, understand that the word minority means lesser than, not as important, with little or no power or representation in the society. Now, government allocates money based on what it feels or deems is important. Some of us was like, when the tsunami hit, we were over in that particular region within a matter of 24 hours. And when things happen in other regions of the world internationally, we're there with aid within 24, 40 hours. So people ask the question, well, how is it that we could get to these foreign destinations within a day with aid and money for these people who need it? But we can't get to our own state domestically within a 24-hour period or a 5-day period. Here's the reason. International business, international relations are of great importance to American government and government in general. You understand that. We all watch CNN, we all pay attention. International business is a major, major element in global society. That's just the way it is. So why do we get money to Sri Lanka, or why do we get money to the tsunami region or to wherever it needs to be? Because those are international relations and we need to maintain those ties. It's important. You understand that? It's important that we do it. Is New Orleans important? Well, let's see. New Orleans is comprised majority of minorities. Minority, by definition, is of no importance. How many companies, entities allocate money that they allocate deemed on importance to an area that they don't feel is important, to a people that they don't feel is important? You understand what I'm trying to say? We're not important, whether it's black, white, yellow, green, red. If you subscribe to or you are categorized by minority, you are not important, so you will get serviced last. Last, y'all. We're going to get serviced last. So understand that. If all of us lived in Sri Lanka, if all of us lived in Budapest, we might get it. But being an African American or a poor American, you lose. Because why? The government is created to control you and to direct you. State and local governments are in place to control and direct the people. That's why each state has different laws, because it's up to them to decide how they want to do it. And the government, by our foolish understanding, is supposed to make sure everything is okay. Sadly, the wealthy people could care less about government because they don't need it. Unfortunately, the more underprivileged are in a position where they need the government's assistance. But when you are in a situation where you need the individuals who seek to oppress you, control you, and direct you wrongfully and illfully to maintain and sustain you, we have a problem. Urban America, we have to get ourselves together and make it happen. Because we can do it. It's without question that we can do it. So I want to present something to you. Some of you may have seen this before, and some of you may have passed it on, whether it's been on the internet. But it's something funny to think about, and it comes of a lot of different terms. But just think about this. Who could this possibly be? 36 have been accused of spousal abuse. 7 have been arrested for fraud. 19 have been accused of writing bad checks. 117 directly or indirectly have bankrupted at least 2 businesses. 3 have done time for assault. 71 cannot get a credit card due to bad credit. 14 have been arrested on drug-related charges. 8 have been arrested for shoplifting. 21 currently are defendants in lawsuits, and 84 have been arrested for drunk driving in the last year. Now I ask you, who are these individuals? Do these sound like people that you would want, a group of people you'd want to be associated with? Does it sound like a group of individuals or organization that should have people deciding the welfare and the interest of the people? Not at all. But my brothers and sisters out there, this represents, or those numbers and facts and figures represents elements of your 535 members of Congress. These are the people who are in place by us who crank out 100 new laws each year designed to keep the rest of us in line. Now you have to think about that. As I broke that down, in addition to government. So these are people in the government. These are the lawmakers. These are the policy makers. These are the people that we're supposed to be put in office. That's supposed to do best by us. These are the people who spank our hands when we commit these particular crimes or these particular violations. But it's a serious situation on that end. So it's one, what comes first? Do as I say, but not as I do. We all know how that usually ends up. So it's very important to understand that. I'm not saying, and let me be clear, that there is not a responsibility of the government and that we should not expect and command it. Yes, we do. Most people say, oh, the government should come to our aid. We pay taxes. We pay taxes. Do we pay taxes? Do we pay taxes? Let me ask you something. You pay your rent. You get an invoice. You send billing. Send the money order. Go pay it, cash, whatever. You get an invoice for your telephone bill. You pay the bill. You send it in with your check. Car bill, house note, grocery bill, whatever the bill is, you physically pay it. Whether you're mailing it in, you're taking it into the location, or you're doing it by credit card. When is the last time you paid your taxes that way? I've never paid my taxes that way. You know what the reality is? When we get our checks, or our revenue, or how we get our money, if it's legal, of course, the money is gone. So how do you pay something without the money to pay it? And when you get your money that would actually pay the other bills you're going to pay, that money is gone. What we call that is extortion. It's just legalized extortion. But that's just my opinion. You think about it for yourself. We pay bills. We don't pay taxes. We file taxes. But we don't pay taxes. See, we file taxes. We take our documentation and we go down to our tax man or whoever and we get it prepared. We do that. And then we pay that person to process it and it gets done. We file the taxes. You don't do the same process with paying your taxes. So you have to truly understand the entity that we're working with. And when you put yourself in a position, when we've allowed ourselves to be put in a position, when we've subscribed to language that dictates that we are less than everyone else, and we are at the mercy of the entity that is created to control and direct individuals, states, communities, and governments, that's a serious, serious situation. Understand that you have two parties, the Republican and the Democrats. Republicans don't care about government. They don't like it because government puts restrictions on how much money they maybe can make or charge or whatever the case may be. But they maintain their riches because they know how to get around the government because of all the loopholes and the laws, and they have the money to figure it out. Unfortunately, Democrats, we're the ones always asking. We need. Whenever you put yourself in a position that you need something and you need your adversary in all actuality to make it happen, you're in a rough situation. So what happened in New Orleans? What happened to our people? Yes, Ninth Ward in that particular section of New Orleans is probably poor, without question. But we've said in previous episodes and previous shows, even the most impoverished community sometimes has a degree of wealth. And I'm going to say that to say this. There was about at least 500,000, maybe more, people displaced in New Orleans. 500,000 displaced people. You think they had home telephones? You think they had cable? You think they had a Blockbuster rental card? You think they had car notes? They probably had one of those. And if 500,000 people pay a $20 bill every month, that's $1 million a month. Ooh, no, that's $10 million a month. That's $10 million every month coming from these poor folks. Because all they're doing is all paying a $20 Blockbuster bill so they can make it a Blockbuster night when they don't have any money to do anything else. But $10 million a month leaving a poor community is a lot. If we were in a position that every time we paid our Blockbuster bill or every time we patronized that establishment, 2% came back to the community. Why shouldn't we get wealthier for our money? We make the world wealthy. We make the international world wealthy. So the international world gets wealthy. The American world in certain areas get wealthy. But then the poor people just get poorer and poorer and poorer and poorer. And then when tragedy strikes, there's no one there to take care of us. But why should we be taken care of? We're the original. We're full grown adults. We're able to think. God-given talents. Wisdom, smarts. Why is it that we're in a position where we're not winning? Why is it that we're in a position that we're not winning? And that's what we have to ask ourselves. I watched that Hurricane Katrina, especially when the levees broke, and even after watching it over and over and over, when it was occurring, you watch that and you get an introspective. You get to see behind the scenes. You get to see what we didn't see, what the media felt was important. We got to really see how people are living, thousands of people dying, floating, babies lost, families displaced, families separated by states. We're not even talking about being separated, or they're on one bus and they're on another bus, or we're in one part of the Superdome and they're in another part of the Astrodome, or whatever dome it was. I'm in Utah, my daughter's in Texas, my sister's in Chicago, my mother's still somewhere in New Orleans. It was a wild, wild situation, and that's really, really bad. What are we going to do about it? We can't say it won't happen again. So let's talk about the government of New Orleans. Everyone knew. It's not a secret anymore. The mayor knew. Governor knew. The Corps Army engineers knew. The government knew. Everyone knew that these levees were not properly constructed, were not finished being constructed, and that anything could really happen. But no one did anything about it. But then on the flip side, the people also, some of them felt they knew. So we come to a point that if we know something's not right, and it's supposed to be getting handled, and it's not getting handled, when do we stand up and say, handle it? Because at the end of the day, who's it going to affect the most? We already know who it affects the most. Bless those folks in New Orleans and Mobile, Alabama, and the Mississippi, and Biloxi, and every other region that was touched. Bless those regions that were overflooded by people, not refugees from New Orleans. My brothers and sisters, it's a serious, serious state of affairs, and we know this. But what are we going to do? No longer am I willing to concede our power to other individuals who, by definition, are not in place to assist us. The government is for them, for them. It's not for us. Nowhere in the definition that I gave you did it say anything about to take care of the people. That's in theory. The theory behind government is they take care of the people. Concept. Conceptually, they take care of them. or will they take care of their own? All of us, in some way, shape, or form, have been affected by New Orleans. I'm hopeful that many of us saw the amazing production that Mr. Spike Lee put together, because it is definitely history in the making and a monumental piece of work. But at the same time, it should serve as a message. Like, this is real. See, so many times we say what can't happen. Oh, the government can't do this, or they can't do that, or they won't do that. But they always do it. We never seem to have an answer or comment or feedback or response post when they do the things that we claim or we feel or believe they can't do. Over 500,000 people or more displaced. You go to New Orleans right now. Right now. It's still in shambles. Why? Because we don't want to repair it. We don't want you to come back. We want frustration. We want discouragement. Why? Because the contracts to that land is valuable. And they were snatched up. That land will be redeveloped. Oh, you can believe it. But when the land is redeveloped, will the people who were residing there, will they be able to afford to come back? Remember, it's all about money. Will they be able to afford to come back? If you have money, you can come back. But if you don't have money, you might not be able to afford to get back. We don't have anything. Now, we spend over $1 trillion a year, urban America. Over $1 trillion a year. But there's no fund anywhere to help the underprivileged when disaster strikes. I mean, I'm completely in shock still. And many of us should be. But beyond being in shock, it's about standing up and deciding enough is enough. It's about looking to your left, looking to your right, and deciding, what am I going to do? What am I prepared to do? Am I going to continue to complain? Am I going to cry? Am I going to continue to just talk and talk and talk? Or am I going to pick up my bootstraps, as they say, pick up myself by the bootstraps and become the beacon of change that I want to see? It's really, really up to you. The Urban Wall Street Project is created to help you understand that we don't have to be in this situation. The Urban Wall Street Project is a conduit that taps into industries from telecommunications, healthcare, professional services such as legal services, tax services, access, dining, roadside assistance, medical. So many different services we subscribe to every day. Millions and millions and millions of dollars is going out of our communities, y'all. But we're not benefiting. That's crazy. We're bigger than that. We're better than that. We're much more intelligent than that. And we deserve that. It's very important that I repeat myself and come back to something that I spoke of a moment ago. We're talking about money. We're talking about survival. We're talking about socioeconomics. We're talking about making a change. Well, I have to reiterate what I'm saying to you. Money. Because that's what we all felt the problem was. Where's the money? Where's our government? We need it. That's what we needed in Katrina. When Katrina, we were there for each other. Support was there. People were banding together. People were dying, literally, to help their fellow man. Literally. But when it was all said and done, there was no money. Think about this. Money is allocated according to what government feels is important. We subconsciously have taken away our importance by accepting and claiming the label minority. If money is allocated based on importance, and we have subscribed to language that by definition indicates little or no importance, by what measures do we really expect our financial needs to be addressed and fulfilled? My brothers and sisters, I'm hoping that you're conscious. I'm hoping that you're recognizing the Urban Wall Street Project, what the movement is. I hope you saw this documentary. This is part 1 of 2. We are going to continue discussion. What is government? And what happened when the government breaks? Introspective into Spike Lee's phenomenal documentary, When the Levees Break. I'm Oral Christian III. Oral Christian III. I'm so choked up by it, I can't even get my name out. I'm your host, Earl Christian III. You've been watching the Urban Wall Street Project. I hope to see you next week on part 2 of When the Government Broke, an introspective behind the work of Spike Lee's When the Levees Broke. Keep your head up.
I'm feeling you every day that I wake. I pray the Lord that my love you take. But you don't see what you're doing to me. If my heart's a lock, girl, then you are the key. I dream of you and I walking in the rain. I sing you roses, but you don't know my name.
You don't understand how you make me feel. All I want to do is just keep it real. You don't understand how you make me feel. All I want to do is just keep it real.
I watch you walk by my way. I try to speak, but the words I can't say. So tell me, girl, can this dream of mine come true? 'Cause all I can think of